Hello, welcome back to Clip 9 in the Microsoft Project 2019 series. We've already set up our project, or been working on setting it up. We've put in our headings, groundworks and building works. Stages, sections, headings, whatever you want to call them. And what we want to do now is look at, how would we actually insert a new task and how would we start linking these tasks together. Now you'll notice that when we put in our headings here, or our sections, that project automatically changed the predecessor numbers for us. Now initially we were clearing the site, which was number 1, dig foundations was number 2, and the predecessor, of course, of digging the foundations was clearing the site, which would have been 1 here. Now obviously when we put these in, project is smart enough to actually renumber the predecessors based on what the new number that is associated with it. Okay, so that's quite a handy thing to do. However, if we start inserting things that we've forgotten or missed out, then project isn't quite smart enough to automatically link things together, and that's where we have to take over that task. So I've got cleared the site and we've got dig foundations. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another task in here. Let's say we've forgotten it or we just thought about it. Remember, because we're looking at the planning stage here. We're not actually running the project yet. It's a few months in the future. So therefore we might think of something that we hadn't thought about earlier on. So I'm going to put in let's check for electric, gas and water pipes or services. Okay, before we start digging. Right, so to do that, right click, insert task. Now remember, it inserts above the line that you're on, so I'm going to insert above dig foundations. Right, it's throwing in a new task for me. Given a default duration of a day with a question mark, and notice now that the groundworks has got a question mark on it as well, which is trying to indicate to you, there's a default value that's been inserted in there. Please check it and make sure it's all okay. And the other thing that should be apparent is that in our Gantt chart we've got a block here and it's not connected to anything. If you look at your Gantt chart, and we'll have a quick look at this one just now, I'll scroll it across, you'll see that everything is actually linked up together. All tasks except those that are starting on day 1 will have a line coming out of them going to another task. Okay, so they'll always have an arrow coming into them, or 2 arrows depending on whether the task can be done concurrently with something else. Okay, so notice how all these are all actually linked together quite nicely. If I saw this one here, I would say, oh, wait a minute, we've got a problem here. This is there. Okay, it might be starting on this day, but it's not linked to anything, so there's definitely something wrong. Okay, so let's rename our new task. I'll just double click there, and we're going to have this check for services. Right, I'll just put a hyphen in, gas, electric and water. Duration, well, we'll just leave that as 1 day. And again here, if I type in 1, it'll sorry, I should have just put 1 day there. I'll just put 1 day there. So it's going to take us a day to do that. Right, now this has got to be done before we actually dig the foundations. So the predecessor for dig the foundations now is not clear the site, it's actually, we're going to clear the site, then we're going to check for gas, electric, water services, then we're going to dig the foundations. Okay, so this 2 now has to become a 3, right, because I'm going to check before I dig any foundations. Okay, so now look what's happened here. We've got our line coming from there to there. However, I can't check for the services until I've cleared the site. That's ID number 2. So if I put my number 2 in here, and again you can type the 2 in, or you can hit the drop down box and it gives you all the tasks that are part of your project. Okay, and notice how it's got the main headings, sections there, and 1 at that level, and at this level here. And now I'm going to be clearing the site, so let's do that. Okay, so we've got number 2 in there. And now what have we got? Right, so we've got clearing the site, and that's followed on by checking for the gas, and that's followed on by digging the foundations, and so on. Now if again I scroll across, you will see that the Gantt chart is pretty straightforward. We've got everything linking onto each other except those tasks that start on day 1, okay, which is clearing the site, phoning for or obtaining the cement and sand, and also dealing with obtaining the kit. Okay, so we've got all these things there. Now obviously if we had decided to obtain the kit once we had got the foundations down, then we would have to shift all of this up along there. Okay, so the other thing that the project is good for is actually allowing you to look at, right, what happens if I do this then, or this here. If I work Saturdays and Sundays some days, what does it do to the project? Okay, so it's very good for looking at these types of scenarios as well. Okay, so that's the end of this clip, and I'll say thank you for listening, and we'll see you later. Bye.